band I've never heard of.
Lordy. It almost sounds like A Perfect Circle has a new record out today, but that can't be true because history tells me that they hadn't put out anything in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's 14 years, right?
14 years. Well, thanks for jumping right into the middle of the Mead, Metal, and MMA podcast, where we talk about our three favorite issues of the day, generally, in some way or extreme or another. And, well, checking in with Brandon, who's in the wilds of outer Wyoming. That's more like a Friday the 13th thing from last week, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I totally messed up. A week later.
Yeah, I'm way more into April the 20th than I am Friday the 13th.
Well, I tell you, we live in a place where the mighty 420 is frowned upon. Yeah,
this is like a big weed holiday, right?
From what I've read on the internet.
As I like to play dumb. Like, yeah. Ooh, what do you mean? This odd holiday we have.
Yeah, Wyoming don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but Colorado's all right with it. I've got a friend of mine that lives in Aurora, or well, just not far from downtown Denver. He's like, yeah, stepped out of work today to grab a cigarette. Hey, I guess I know what today is. And he works like in fucking city government. He's like works at City Hall there. So
yeah. Oh, right.
I bet it's gotta be just like fucking living in another world, doesn't it? You know?
From what little I've seen, I mean, I've made a trip or two to Trinidad, and it certainly seems like another world.
Where you got a government job. It's like, hey, I'm gonna go out fire up a J. I'll be right back. You know? I mean,
things about to get tense. I'm gonna go have me a spliffy if you don't mind.
Yeah. How's this week find you, sir?
Yeah, it finds me well. Just getting some things mildly prepared for the mighty return.
Ah. Well, you know, the Romans, when they'd have somebody return, they would call it a triumph. They would slaughter like 1,000 animals and put on games for a week and line the streets with hookers. I'm going to have none of that for you, by the way. So just so you know.
I'm fine with a bottle of long ships and a jazz cigarette.
Yeah. Well, you'd be back to the land of plenty, that's for sure.
Damn right. Looking forward to that particular aspect. How about you, my friend?
Well, it's been a week.
I feel like you have a little more to tell on this end than I do.
My job, as it is, I kind of keep it a little private on this thing, but it's they changed so much shit on Tuesday. Well, it felt like all week long I was like on a first day of a new job all over again, because everything that I've been accustomed to for over 17 years was flipped upside down. It's no longer. It's all brand new stuff. And so the production shit and everything else, it's crazy. I had that. I had a crazy dentist appointment, which I don't know. Sometimes the shit I just roll off the cuff, and I recognize after I say it, and I go, that shit was kind of funny. I had a dental tech, and what they're doing is taking castings of like my upper palate and stuff like that, and it's got this goo that they use for the casting, and they have to keep it in place for like 3 minutes or something like that to get a good cast and everything else. She's like, okay, well, here's what's going to happen. She said, it's kind of a full tray that we're using, and it's going to kind of go everywhere. And if you got a bad gag reflex, this might be a bad thing for you. I said, bad gag reflex? Fuck yeah, I have a bad gag reflex. I said, lady, if blowjobs paid the bills, I'd be homeless. I mean, and I said it, and she like looked shocked. I bet I probably looked shocked that I threw that out in a public setting. But yeah.
You had that filter turned off for a little bit.
I'm sure they hear worse. It's a fucking dentist's office. Come on.
I'm sure it's a cacophony of screams occasionally from there.
Probably screams, people vomiting and shit. Yeah. It's like, hey, get your hand out of my pants. You know, that kind of stuff. That's what I assume. You know,
tickle it and talk dirty to me. Get me excited about the project.
I'm assuming there's a lot of people speaking in weird hushed tones Oh, you will give us the secrets.
Everyone suddenly turned into a Bond villain.
In other words, I assume every dentist office is basically a fucking bad spy stronghold. Yeah. But other than that, how's your week? Anything exciting happen?
Oh, goddamn. Not really. It's been pretty bland.
See, you have got to get out of that weird hellhole and back to cosmopolitan New Mexico.
Need to get back into hospitality. That's where all the good shit came from.
Stories are just so much sweeter.
I know. I mean, they're sweeter to tell, not to experience.
The nectar of your daily life. Well, shit, let's get to it because today's like Christmas Day if you're a fucking fan of music. And if you're not, I'm not 100% sure why you're joining us on this podcast. But
Sure.
getting to it, Mead, that's the portion we have. I keep saying that we're going to rack that troublemaker. We haven't done it yet because, Silk and I get lazy and drink, so that's
As one does.
Well, actually, I can't say she gets lazy and drink. She watches me get lazy and drink, and she probably can't rack it on her own. So
Probably, yeah. It's a two-person job.
Although, if we're gonna bottle that shit here in the next 3 weeks, I do need to move it here pretty soon. So that way, if there are any issues, I can kind of catch those and nip them in the bud. Other than that, though, this is when the fuck did we start this batch, Troublemaker?
Before the new year began.
Is this a December start?
I believe so. I think these are all these batches we started last year.
Christ Almighty, that's gonna be like a 6 month fucking age on this thing.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to go back to $30 a bottle.
Well, this is Troublemaker, so it would be worth every penny.
Although I gotta say, had a cool thing. Well, I mean, it's sorrowful but cool nonetheless. Some of the folks that always have helped us out a lot. It's this couple, and they're retirees. Her brother passed away. He really was a fan of our stuff, and he lived like in, I think, Nebraska or something like that. But
oh wow.
Or maybe he's from Nebraska and lived in California. I frankly, I don't know. I don't pay a whole lot of attention until people start talking about nudity and booze and stuff. But anyway, he passed away and was a big fan of our stuff. So they're reserving 4 bottles of Longships, which we have, to take to his funeral. They're going to bury him in a boat. So that's pretty badass. Yeah, that's it. I didn't even think about doing that myself when my time to go comes around. So
I know. I just figured pine box or roll me in the bar ditch.
I always figured mine would be, from being incinerated, not by normal means, but by accident. But nonetheless, that's frankly the Mead update, dude. I mean, we have limited amounts of a lot of things. We've got, if you're a fan of the Holly King, we've got a couple of bottles of that left. We have like 1 bottle of Runestone left, 1 or 2, maybe 2 bottles of Green Man, about a case of Longships. Feel like I'm missing something here, but maybe not. I don't know. But I mean, so we can still hook you up. Because people will say, well, it sucks that Brandon moved to Wyoming because now you guys aren't doing mead anymore. Say, hey, motherfucker, we've got mead. Trust me.
And we'll have more on the way.
And as a matter of fact, plan is to probably go ahead and put together the financing for the honey because that's what it takes nowadays because that shit is expensive. Get that together, and we're going to start immediately, probably as soon as you get back, like within the first couple of days, and start a batch of Green Man.
Absolutely, and then also get Troublemaker bottled, so we'll be back to having a smorgasbord.
Well, that's the whole thing. Just because we lay off a couple of months, when our supporters kind of lay off a couple of months too, that's not helpful. So, something else.
Buy it up.
Well, something else we're going to be doing. I didn't even talk with you about this before we jumped on here, but you've got that one friend of yours or the guy that's known you for a long time, kind of came up, gave us some constructive criticism a week ago Tuesday, Said, you guys, if you like did a more visual podcast, it'd probably get a lot more people excited, which tells me that he wants to see a visual podcast. So
you just need some spanky material.
I can see how this sweet visage would probably, tempt one to like, well, that's it, got to rub one out now.
That's right,
or if you're a lady, rub one in.
Grind mounds together.
But yeah, we'll probably actually. I'm gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to see how the Mead sales go, man. If we can get about a case out the door, I say we're probably going to be a visual element within about 3 months, 2 months maybe. Depends.
That'd be dope.
Because I'll be damned if I'm digging in my own pockets for this shit.
Must be funded by the people.
It is going to come from, exactly that. So, but I think that's good for the Mead portion of the podcast for this evening, because I don't know how much MMA shit you're wanting to get into today, but as I had mentioned a little bit earlier, today's like fucking Christmas Day, only for 2 acts really, when it comes to the metal portion of the podcast. I'm going to let you go with the first one. It's been 14 years. Well, since probably the biggest nerd and the most talented nerd in fucking all metal, Maynard from Tool, has a second band, and it's been 14 years since they put out their last one. And we're talking about, obviously, a Perfect Circle. What are your thoughts, sir?
Well, I was being the sound professional man that I am. I decided to listen to it while I bathed. Because I like to multitask,
Of course.
I'm still having trouble if it's just because, it's so brand new and it's just fucking amazing, and that's why I really love it, because I really do. It might not be my favorite APC album. Granted, their catalog is ridiculously small.
They're like 3 or something like that?
There's technically 4, but one is a cover album. So this is the first album since 13th Step, which I think came out in 2003. And before that, the debut Murder Nons came out. But this, I don't know, man. It just nails the climate of the world right now.
Right.
It really does. Disillusion could be a theme song for what the world's currently going through right now.
Yeah. No. We're in a very weird fucking spot. I mean, Lord knows I don't want to get fucking weird and political on this shit, but these are weird times, and Eat the Elephant is which is the album name by Perfect Circle. It really nails a lot of things, dude.
It really does. They've done heavier things in the past, which of course was over 14, 15 fucking years ago. But it's the perfect blend of atmospheric, a lot of electronic in there as well, which normally I'm kind of like, but it just works on all the levels here. And Maynard usually has a little more growl and balls behind his voice, even on the APC stuff. This is all mellow, man. This is not an album to headbang to. This is an album to get very introspective on.
Yeah, and I've always thought of a Perfect Circle being that way, and I never think of them as being kind of a heavy jam, but, my brother Daryl was giving me some shit a while ago, so admittedly, it's not the heavy kind of shit you would expect, but it has a definite EDM element to it, though, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really does. And I think my favorite song on there is the Contrarian.
Yeah.
Nice blend of good and mellow. The chorus really picks it up and then brings it right back down. There's a good balance of everything on this album.
Well, yeah, if you're talking about like the most balanced song on the whole album of kind of the heavier stuff, but yet also a real light one, Hourglass. That's kind of my take on that one.
Nice. Yeah, I was really worried that all the singles they put out, it's like, there's the meat and potatoes. It's going to be all the good shit. Everything else.
Dude, how many times have we seen that? I mean, I don't really want to go and mention bands by name. Mastodon. But, I mean, how many times have we seen them put out the best shit, and then you're thinking, God damn, this is going to be a great record. the whole thing comes out and you find out, oh, well, basically like the 3 best tracks on the whole fucking thing were the ones they put out for single.
Yep. Not the case here. Not the case here at all. It's an album to be left on repeat and just fully absorbed. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it 4 wet kisses on the mouth out of 5.
Yeah, I'd give it a 16 hot feet out of 21. That's
the rare 21 scale.
I try to break with reality. Now I was saying it was a great day for music. Well, if you're a weirdo, and you probably are if you're listening to this fucking stuff, yeah. If you're listening to this podcast and this is your thing, you might be a little weird. The Melvins have a new one out, which I went, wait a minute, that can't be, because way back when I was a child, they basically had a band come out. They had stuff out like in the 87, I want to say, is when they formed. I don't frankly know. Yeah, they 30 years later, over 30 years later, they're putting out a new record, and it's still their weird post-punk kind of thing. I guess they've been working a lot of weird shit in. The record is Pincus Abortion Technician. It's what are you gonna do? It's the Melvins. But yeah, they've definitely expanded into some other weird shit. I didn't even know they're still around. There's no tie between the late 80s, early 90s Melvins, but to what they put out today. But if you're looking for something weird, get to it, son.
Yeah, it's like I said, the only way I knew him is because that fuzzy-haired guitar player they got.
The one they based the Troll Dolls on that were so big in the early 2000s.
Hope that dude's getting royalties.
Yeah. Another one I do kind of dig, but I need to check it out a little bit more. I was loath to kind of mention them because I've only heard one track. The band is From Beyond, and they went with the clever name of The Band From Beyond. They're on Candlelight and Spine Farm Records. I didn't know the Spine Farm was still around, by the way.
Oh, kind of an older label?
Yeah, they are. I mean, Winter Sun's, is it their early, maybe not Winter Sun, maybe Insiferum. Somebody's early stuff that I used to kind of really be into, they were on Spine Farm. So. Oh, wow, shit. They used to handle a lot of really, really heavy, like black metal acts, yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's one to maybe check out. There's another one that I need to listen to the whole thing because I feel kind of like a dummy. I thought I got an advanced copy of this. No, I got the same copy that everybody else got. That's what it is. So I'm really not that special. But Sleep, stoner doom metal band, they put out their new record today, The Science. Shut the hell up. I might need to go let a dog out here. Yeah, so Sleep put out, the last time they put out a new record, 15 years ago. But anyway, so yeah, they pick 420 to make their comeback. But anyway, it's pretty great. I've heard one track. I feel like I should have listened to the whole goddamn thing and then done the podcast, but we don't. We're busy. We're men of action. We don't have that kind of.
We act and then we think.
Let me go throw my wiener outside. Hold on.
Well, while he's doing that, I'm going to ask how all y'all doing today. Oh, yeah? Oh, that's good. Very nice. Actually, another band that is putting out, well, they haven't put anything out, but they are working for the first time in about 10 years. Rammstein is working on a new album.
My problem with Rammstein is I always think of them as kind of a jokey Gwar knockoff, really.
They're a little theatric for sure.
Aren't they considered operatic metal?
No, I would say far more electronic.
Grindcore, maybe?
No, I wouldn't even say that. I mean, they're kind of in their own thing. I first heard them when I was in high school in the late 90s. So
Yeah. Well, because they had like something fall on a pretty big soundtrack, right? Was it Triple X?
Yeah, that Firefly. Bang,
Yeah.
bang. I don't know if I have the same admiration for him as I did when I was a kid, but I am curious to hear new music from any big band from my past that hasn't put anything out in more than a decade. See a perfect circle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but here's the weird thing, dude. I mean, there are some other talk about things from the past. So I already talked about the Melvins, but there's a band, and they're not that old, but their sound is. If you're into like Leonard Skinner, like Molly Hatchet, Blackstone Cherry put out a new one today. It's Family Tree. The cool thing that has to do with this is that they got Warren Haynes from Government Mule and Allman Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
That dude's on a couple of tracks on that record.
Damn.
So if Warren Haynes is cool with it, it's probably pretty legit. I'd love to say I checked it out, but I did not. Yeah. Again, but I mean, but this I've read the reviews on it. I know what Rolling Stone thinks of it. It's a good record if that's your bag. I mean, I don't know that there's really a southern rock genre anymore, but there's damn sure a subset that's still actually getting put out on the reg. Blackberry Smoke, a few other ones.
Right.
There are Whiskey Myers bands that are they're southern rock. Shit, it is what it is. It's ballad southern rock shit, man. Rural music, I would say, from a particular geographic portion of America.
They're catering to a certain area, that's for sure.
And then if you're also wanting to feel, well, let's just put it this way. If you wanted Opeth to kind of put together something that was progressive but not over the top, pick this one up. Tesseract has out their new one.
I like Tesseract. Yeah.
Yeah. Sonder. Yeah. You've heard it before, so you know what I'm talking about, right? When I say it's the direction you wanted Opeth to kind of go, from their departure.
Right.
Tesseract is like very, very talented, but they keep an edge. Whereas Opeth kind of really got a little bit crazy, especially Pale Communion, kind of really
super mellow and moody.
Yeah.
Mellow and moody.
You don't have to worry about that with Tesseract. They're going to do weird, complicated shit. Hey, you want to hear a lot of 16ths and 30 seconds in your music? There you go. Listen to Tesseract. They've got it.
With a singer with a pretty high fucking register as well.
Yeah, like a dude from fucking Queensryche almost, yeah?
Yeah, that's a damn good comparison.
I think that's probably good. You might want to check out Wild Hunt. They're a little bit weird. Their record of the South today is After Dream of the Reveler. They've been classified. Which one was it? Metal Injection? Might have been Metal Injection. One of them classified them as progressive doom. It's got a very weird technical edge to it, but it is certainly a little bit droning, But yeah, Wild Hunt. I'm gonna check them out.
Progressive doom sounds right up my alley.
That feels like it's licking me where I need to be cleaned.
It's licking all my itchy spots.
Shit. Anyway, I think that's probably good for our metal portion of the week. I'm not trying to race through this, but certain things we had our things we talked about, and longer is not necessarily better as far as the podcast is concerned. But
yeah, we'll hit those hour podcasts here in May.
Yeah, no, when we get back to it, because I have heard people say, hey, I don't like the sound quality. Well, fucking sorry. That's what it is. It is what it is. If you want content, we can give it to you, but it's not going to be what it is when Brandon's in town. But yeah, give us like 1 month from now, and by God, we're going to be back to what you expect. So
the dulcet tones, man. We'll be back.
Dulcet tones, a lot of weird random singing, slogan lines, unadulterated nudity, screaming, primal screams. All the things you've come to expect. Or
like
actually, as it may be, none of the shit that has ever happened. So, yeah.
So on to MMA then.
MMA, very well, very well.
You catch any of the fights last week?
I only caught the last 4 of the night. And the reason is because I looked at the card, went, yeah, you know what? They're going to have they're going to have some shit on here I really, really do want to see, but some of those fights are going to be epic, but there are a lot of people that I don't even know who they are. And that was predominantly true throughout most of that card last week. Did it turn out being a good card? Yeah. Did it turn out being a great card? Maybe. But the last 4 fights of the night didn't quite, well, it didn't exactly do it for me.
Well, that main event did it for me, even though it basically played out like I figured it would. Gaethje came out, did the exact same thing he did against Alvarez, against Michael Johnson, and his game's been figured out, and he paid the price.
So for people that don't know, because I didn't know how you were wanting to go about this, do we want to do main event? I guess you already brought it up. We can probably jump right into it if you
really,
like.
Yeah, the main event of that fight's the one we're talking about, I think.
Which was this? UFC. I was trying to actually get the card in front of me so I know what I'm talking about.
UFC on Fox 29, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Ah, shit. I put the wrong thing in. I was like, I don't want to see no damn TV station in Philadelphia. There it is. All right. I didn't watch the whole shebang. I watched the last 4 fights. So yeah, and that's what it was. It was UFC on Fox, Fox 29. Dustin Poirier ended up beating Justin Gaethje. Now, Brandon, you have a sentimental reason for liking Gaethje. I've been on Twitter and I've seen his fans. I really don't like the guy.
It's tough to like a MMA fighter when you have to deal with all their fans, you know. I just like him for what he brings to the table. I don't see him being a champion. I don't see him, and he's even said it himself, he's going to have like maybe 5 more fights, and that's it.
Yeah, that dude, the way he fights with like never putting his hands up, he's going to be speaking out of the side of his mouth here and about probably in the space of a decade, dude.
Yeah. I mean, he's had 3 fights. He's had 3 post-fight performance bonuses, but he's won one of them, and he barely won that one. Guys,
1 and 3. That one went to split. And why that one's, like I said, a nostalgic pick for you is because that's when you and Kerry went out to Las Vegas. Yeah,
I got to see his debut against Michael Johnson, which if he didn't dig down deep, Michael Johnson probably would have finished that fight in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
But then he fought Alvarez.
Almost had to finish in the 2nd. Yeah.
He fought Alvarez, and Alvarez had him figured out, and Gaethje didn't change anything, and Alvarez pummeled him for 3 rounds.
Yep.
And Poirier did the same thing. I'll give Gaethje this. He lit up Poirier's legs for that whole fight.
That's fine. But if you know that what your opponent has is a really, really devastating right and really, really good leg kicks, but he has nothing in defense, and if you're Poirier and you're able to circle and remain really mobile, dude just kept circling, taking off from the away from the power alley of that right hand.
Yeah. And here's the other weird thing. Gaethje is a Division I wrestler. How about we use some of that?
He acts like he's scared shitless to go to the ground, doesn't
he? I haven't seen him go to the ground yet.
But Poirier tried to put some double legs on him, some takedowns, and that's not Poirier's game either. I don't think that dude probably has taken a guy down in his life and aiming and shooting, trying to shoot takedowns on the double leg against Gaethje, and Gaethje's acting panicked like, holy crap, I can't go to the ground. You're right. Wait a minute.
I forgot how to wrestle. Yeah.
Didn't you wrestle at a big school? Like everybody's always telling us with Rumble Johnson. It's like, yeah, that guy, he hits harder than anybody in the UFC, but goddamn, have you ever seen his ground game?
No.
Unfortunately, now we have.
And it's not that good.
John Jones, same thing. They're like, well, this guy wasn't even a Division I wrestler. He went to like a fucking junior college, right? Mm-hmm. John Jones fucking out wrestles everybody because he's fucking violent.
Yep.
When he's not running into pregnant ladies and such.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean it's a bummer, but he puts on, if he's going to fight, people are going to watch because it's going to be an exciting time.
I like that his detractors always say the sport would be a lot better off without him. I would say this sport right now really kind of needs him because they really kind of need a star because the stars they have right now suck. They really suck.
Either that or they're on the shelf for throwing dollies through bus windows.
Well, that was one of them that sucks I was talking about.
Yeah. But But we do have a card coming on tomorrow.
Oh, well, okay. Let's hold on. Before we move to that. So Michelle Watterson got the win over Courtney Casey in a that was a
pretty fight.
That's a grinding fight.
Yeah, not very pretty.
Did she do enough to win that fight, do you think? I thought Courtney Casey she obviously had her rocked in the first. I thought Casey was going to win that one.
Yeah.
And she had her rocked in the first. I thought she did okay. I thought she did well enough to win the second. And if that's the case, that's 2 rounds out of the 3. But Watterson got the was it a splitty? It was a split, yeah. 29-28, 28-29, 29-28. So
I feel like if Casey got a little more credit for all her submission attempts, I think that would have been enough to give her the win.
I sometimes wonder about the ability of some circles of judges if they actually know what they should be looking for when it comes to that.
I don't think any of them do.
I think some do. When they're in Las Vegas, they almost certainly do. If they're in Brazil, bet your balls that it does.
It's just tough. It's too dangerous to let a fight be in the hands of the judges anymore.
You can't do it. I mean, I think I was wanting to say it was worse 10 years ago, but I don't know, man. There's the occasional fight. And some people, that don't like the UFC, generally boxing fans, they'll say, hey, man, this shit's obviously set up because you can see on this one fight that they had that guy throwing the thing and blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's the issue. Judging might be where that issue is at.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
I think Sal D'Amato might require a closer look. Just saying.
We might need to launch an investigation into this man. I totally agree.
All right. The other one that we had on the card last weekend, Israel Adesanya fought Martin Vettori. I thought the big Italian was going to do really, really well, and I was wrong. But another split decision. So.
Yeah, and again, I think this is where the judges gave it to Lasagna Man because
Adesanya actually had better. I think he had a better approach to the fight. Look, man, I love it when strikers do what they do, but man, I hate it when all they do is basically walk around the octagon like a boxer.
Yeah.
And Vettori has a notorious problem with that, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I know we need to move along. Alex Oliveira, the Brazilian cowboy that got his ass kicked by the real cowboy months ago, and also by the guy the real cowboy kicked his ass too, and Yancy Medeiros. But Alex Oliveira fought this past weekend and oddly made weight, so he might be taking this whole fighting thing a little more serious, maybe. But he took on Carlos Condit, not the Carlos Condit I wanted to see from 2012, but the Carlos Condit from 2018.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to the Condit Matt Brown fight because I knew it would just be a straight up stand up brawl, But seeing Condit get dealt with this way, dude's done. I think he's.
Well, I thought he's done like a couple of fights ago. I think the Robbie Lawler fight claimed part of his soul, as Robbie Lawler fights did a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Well, now let's remember that Robbie Lawler did what Robbie Lawler does when he's losing a fight and just starts throwing hands at the end of that 5th round. And I think that got him that decision victory.
Yeah, well, because the champ's always going to get a little bit of a bonus, and Joanna and Jacek's camp might want to look into that. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, to get that bonus, you need to make it to the final round of the
fight. Well, that is true, but no, that they were saying that that they were troubled because they thought the judging would always favor Rose if it went to that. Like I think her trainer or coach or one of them, in a post-fight interview. But maybe go ahead and take care of business. Because you didn't have to worry about the judges in this case. You can say shoulda, coulda, woulda. Maybe they would have given it to Joanna. Yeah, well, okay. Well, don't get finished in the 4th.
Exactly.
And that's a crazy fight because that one probably, really, I think Rose was off her game and still won decisively.
Yeah, I mean, she was probably a little shook from the whole Conor McGregor thing that happened a couple days before.
Yeah, they said that she was wanting to pull out of the fight because of that. Not she got hit by anything, but she just kind of freaked out, as probably one would be, not expecting some crazy fucker to try to throw a hand truck through the window of your bus.
Trying to get a guy that isn't even on the bus. Oh, fuck. Oh, man.
You can't make it up. You can't make it up.
No, wouldn't want to. Wouldn't want to either.
We have a T minus 30 minutes or maybe less with Ruben Gonzalez on his way down to hang out at the meadery this evening.
Oh my goodness, the rare appearance of the brown man.
Well, it is the Perfect Circle's release day, and this would be a good day to probably visit and hang out and do what you do on those days.
Indeed. We do have a card tomorrow. UFC has an event going on in Atlantic City, which is headlined by Mr. Edson Barboza.
Yeah, and obviously you have to put Frankie Edgar on a card just because it's in that ballpark, right?
It's in Jersey, and he's a Jersey boy, yeah.
And he has asked for this fight after getting his bell rung, about 2 months ago?
Yeah, Brian Ortega fight.
Who, by the way, the more and more I go back and watch what he does, there's nobody on that guy's level.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about how dominant and wonderful that Khabib Nurmagomedov is. Look at Brian Ortega. That guy is on a completely different level.
Yeah. Max Holloway should be a little concerned.
Brian Ortega, I will say, where is he, like 6th right now, 5th?
I think after the new rankings, that dude's up top 3 at least now.
Well, if that's the case, he will have the gold around his fucking waist this year, by the end of this year.
Oh, yeah.
That guy's going to have a year like Greta Van Fleet.
But tomorrow, while there's really not a whole lot of notable fights on the Fight Pass prelims or the FS1 prelims, main card looks pretty decent. You got Dan Hooker fighting Jim Miller.
Well, there you go. That's one I wouldn't want to put in Vegas. God, from now to 10 years ago. Yeah.
You got Brett Johns fighting Aljamain Sterling at $135.
If Aljamain Sterling comes out and lights this thing up like he's been talking about for a long time on social media, trust me. If he's able to do this in a dramatic fashion, do you go ahead and just bounce him all the way into the top 8?
Fuck, why not? You know, bantamweight is...
That's a pretty stacked division. They just don't fight much there.
Yeah, and every fight that gets announced seems to get pulled. Of course, we are going to be getting Dillashaw Garbrandt 2 here June or July? Probably June,
I think it's June, I think. And that one's going to be, that's a fight worth watching right there.
Oh, yeah.
I like Dillashaw to finish him, just like his Barrows 2 fight. I think he'll do the same thing. He'll finish him even faster.
Yeah, and it'll be a lot more violent. Let's see. David Branch fighting Thiago Santos at $185.
See, I would go Branch, but I think last time I did, I think he disappointed me, I think.
Yeah, he had like a 10 or 11 fight win streak, and he lost his last fight.
Well, of course, then maybe that puts him back on solid ground. Maybe I'll go Branch.
He basically said the same thing. He said, I needed that loss. It brought me back down to earth, and now I'm ready to go back to work. So that's a great way to recover. Let's see. You got a heavyweight rumble between Chase the Vanilla Gorilla Sherman and Justin, what you talking about, Willis?
You got to go Willis on this one because what you talking about might be one of the best fucking nicknames in the whole thing.
That was me.
Oh, well, you need to get like into the marketing camp of the UFC. I was like, really? This guy going with what you talking about, Willis? Get the fuck out of here. That's like the most awesome thing I've ever heard.
They need to hire me for nicknames.
Then it turns out now it's fake news. It's fake news.
They need to hire me for nicknames and walkout music.
That would be a good gig for you. And that dude needs to pick it up immediately. Go, what? What you talking about, Willis? Fuck yes, that's what I'm paying you fools for.
Oh shit! Now you got your co-main event: Frankie Edgar fighting Cub Swanson, rematch from about 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I should go Cub Swanson on this one, but I think Frankie Edgar feels like he's got an axe to grind, but that dude might be prone for getting fucked up in this fight
Oh
if
yeah.
he comes out and gets off of the Frankie Edgar game.
Well, first time he's been finished, first time he's been knocked the fuck out. I don't know how he recovered, and it was 2 months ago.
Yeah, and dude might get some. Cub Swanson's like he's got a couple of his submission games above average. Yeah,
Yeah, but his stand-up game's where it's at.
that's kind of where, but he uses that as a definite setup to
Sure.
kind of get that ground game going.
If Cub nails him proper once early in the fight, it could change a lot of things for Frankie Edgar.
God, you think two fucking knockouts in a row probably calls an end to that run? That dude's older than you are, dude.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, featherweight's kind of in a weird spot right now, except for if you're Brian Ortega, which you're probably going to be in the king of this division very soon.
I wouldn't want to be Max Holloway. Let's just say that.
And it's your third-ranked featherweight fighting your fourth-ranked featherweight, so it's two guys that are still at the top. Let's hope he doesn't wait like Condit does, because I mean Condit's 1-4 in his last fight.
I think there are certain people. If you go back in their career and their first fight was a UFC event in the double digits, I don't care how old they are right now. That means they've been in some wars and might need to think about going ahead and remembering that they need to know how to spell their name and shit later in life. So.
Now you got your main event of the evening, Mr. Edson Barboza, the kicking machine, fighting Mr. Staph Infection himself, Kevin Lee.
I wonder about this fight. Barboza did more to Khabib Nurmagomedov than anybody has on a stand-up only game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and granted, and people will say, yeah, well, Barboza got fucked up. Yeah, he did, but look at that first round and second round, even the beginning of it. He was keeping him at distance with those kicks and making him think about some shit.
Yep.
And Khabib doesn't think about anything, as we know, because Russians don't think, you know. But
they just feel.
It's just instinct. But here's the problem: he's taking on Kevin Lee, who is not the grappler that Khabib Nurmagomedov is.
No, I mean he is a grappler. You know, he's known for choking people out.
But he's not in Khabib's league, dude.
Oh fuck no, no way.
So that's what leads me to believe Edson Barboza might really never have to worry about that if he puts a striking in at the right time, and Kevin Lee can never get a fucking jump on him.
Yeah, the only league Kevin Lee shares with Nurmagomedov is the fact that neither of them can make weight, because Kevin Lee came in at $157.
Sheesh. And they both like to wear ladies' underwear. But so 157 is God. So Barboza's like, yeah, fight on, yeah.
Yeah, one of the fights with Leslie Smith and some other broad got canceled. She came in overweight, but Leslie Smith's like, no, I don't want to fight. So they just scrapped it. Barboza's getting like 20% of Kevin Lee's check.
Good. That money goes a long way in some parts of the world.
If it's Reebok money, then he's going to be getting like $500 extra. That's awesome. I got Barboza in this one.
Yeah, I think Barboza gets a first round KO, I think.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's right to the liver.
Yep, could be.
Or spinning heel kick right to the dome.
Oof. All right, brother. Well, we need to wrap some things up, get on to the evening.
All right.
I got some liquor ball sandwiches to drink.
Indeed. Speaking of liquor ball sandwiches, what is your pick for booze tonight, sir?
You know, I'm going to go simple this week. I'm going, well, I think I went simple last week. Maybe I shouldn't be so simple. I am drinking Budweiser. I know that. And I almost sounded right. I'm probably going to figure out a way to put together some vodka drinks later.
Ah, well, that's actually what I'm going to be enjoying tonight. Good old $12 bottle of Fleischmann's.
Good old vodka drinks. I like it. It's like, oh, so you're going to drink it this time. Oh, okay.
Metal, my pick is easy. New APC. All day.
Yeah, I'd go with that one as well. And if you want just a different pick, I'd say the new Sleep. Check that one out as well. But yeah, Perfect Circle. Really, this is getting me really fired up for a Tool record coming out later this year, supposedly.
Oh man, if that happens, it could be the greatest 1-2 punch outside MMA.
I think it'll happen.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to all of that. And MMA.
Edson Barboza, that's where I'm going.
Edson Barboza, liver kick, shutting it down.
I think it might be a head kick that just lays them fucking flat.
Yeah.
Just some shit like out of a Bruce Lee movie. Yeah.
He's done it before.
It has happened. It has happened.
That Joe Rogan clip where he's talking during his fight, he's like, well, this guy better be careful. He's going to get spinning kicked and knocked out. Because right when he said it, Barboza just keeps him right in the dome and shuts it down.
Yeah. Well, cool, Duder. It's good to check in with you and get things kind of set the stage on Fridays. It's the platform that you jump onto before you climb into the weekend.
Yep, it's the platform you jump onto before you jump off.
And so a couple more over Skype, and then we'll be back to right here at the Mead Hall.
That's right. I'll no longer sound like I'm in a deep, dark cave.
Yeah. That's all right. Maybe we'll have to come up with some kind of like the man in the cave. But we're almost at the end of that chain. We're good. All right, dude. Well, cool checking in.
Indeed.
And for the rest of you heathens, you don't have to like the same song that I like so well, an Hourglass, but it is a perfect circle, and you have to like Feathers. Was that your pick?
Mine was the Contrarian.
Oh, well, all right. Well, fuck you. You're getting Feathers this one. It's the Mead, Metal, and MMA podcast. Thanks for giving us your time. Well, thank you so much for that, and we'll be back with you another time.
See you next week.